the rudder! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Navigate the gauntlet of uncertainty the world throws at your business with SAP. Whether it's a tropical storm hitting your warehouse or a short supply of those little plastic twist ties, SAP can help you tackle those unexpected crushing setbacks with its AI-powered capabilities. To pivot to new suppliers, automate paperwork, and source the twist ties you need at the price you want, so your business can stay unstoppable. Learn more at sap.com/uncertainty.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contrast. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan. $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Hello, Nigel here. As an owl, I love to be awake all night, but allergy sufferers like you probably don't feel the same. So take Xyzal at night to relieve allergies while you sleep. Then wake up fully refreshed for a more productive day. Xyzal works fast and offers 24-hour continuous relief from sneezing, runny nose, itchy watery eyes, and itchy nose and throat, so you can enjoy doing the things you love all day long. Be wise all. Take Xyzal at night. Use as directed. Starts working in 45 minutes.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Victory Green Hour as the Philadelphia Eagles go down to Tampa in over 100-degree heat and defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-25 to improve to 4-0 as they are one of only 2 unbeatens remaining in the NFL. I'm your host, LJ Harrell, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Connor Donald. Connor, it was a tale of 2 halves, but they got the win.
I know. I feel like this is getting old saying it was ugly, but we won, and we're not going to give a win back. But, I mean, wins are wins, and, I mean, we both thought we were coming out of this stretch 2-2, so to come out 4-0, we can give ourselves 2 losses down the road, and we still get the records that we predicted that they would be. But obviously, we want to see some things definitely improve because consistency is key. And obviously, we've seen the statistics. They're like the only 4-0 team to start with this yards per attempt, this amount of yards per attempt. I can't remember the exact number. And this total yards per game on offense so far, I can't remember them. I want to say it was 160. But there's 2 stats out there, and obviously that shows you cannot continue to win at this level with those 2 statistics going against you right now. So hopefully things are going to improve. But I mean, a win's a win. We're 4-0. Let's look to week 5.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we both had them 2-2 after this point in our preseason predictions. But if you think about it, the 4 teams they faced a hated division rival on banner night, a team you played in the Super Bowl, a team you played in the divisional round, and another playoff team. So it's not like this 4-game stretch was really hard. Before we expand further on that, as always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Greenhour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor. Follow me on Twitter at LJHerrell54. And follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And wherever you get your podcasts at Eagles Pinpool Network. And if you're joining us live, let us know your thoughts in the chat, your thoughts on the game. Who was your player of the game? What do you want to see different? Any questions you have that you want Connor and I to discuss? Just let us know, and we will definitely discuss it. But yeah, like these first 4 games, they weren't easy. Now, if we look ahead, so that we got done in the first quarter of the season, you're 4-0. As I mentioned, throughout the first couple of weeks of the season, you want to bank wins because later on the season when you got that Buffalo Washington at the end of the year, you got Detroit, you got Green Bay. They're going to be tough games later on. So whenever you can bank a win, you'll never give it back, obviously, like you said. So being able to, does it matter how it looked? Yes and no. I'm like, does this have a feel of the 2023 season? A tad bit. I think the only difference is we have Vic Fangio as our defensive coordinator and not Sean Desai and Matt Patricia ruining things. So like we feel better. We feel better about the defensive side of the ball. Now we need to get the offense going. And if you think about it, Connor, if you take the second half of the Rams game and the first half of the Bucs game, there's a complete game. Unfortunately, it's not the same game. So it'd be nice if we could put a 60-minute game together, but they are banking wins. And again, you're going to be going up against tough defenses, tough opponents. So they just need to figure out consistency, and they need to figure out a way to get their offensive weapons involved. It shouldn't just be the Saquon. So Saquon has the second most carries in the league right now, but he's only averaging 3 yards a carry. He averaged 3 yards a carry before contact last year. He's averaging like 1 yard a carry before contact now, if not less. So something's got to change. I don't know if it's Petula. I don't know if it's Jalen and just gripping it and ripping it, but they're going to have to figure something out offensively to keep it consistent and not be, one half great and then the second half we can't complete a pass.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, we have to stop having this tale of two halves. I mean, at least we got, a good half against the Rams. We got a good half against the Bucs offensively, because the first game it didn't feel like we had, the first two games, it didn't feel like we had any concept of any type of really good offense at all, any cohesion with the offense whatsoever. So I would obviously tend to agree with you greatly that we need to figure out how to have, do teams have 60 minutes of great football in all three facets of the game? Because we're obviously going to talk about a third facet of the game eventually. But do all teams have 60 minutes of it? No, but we cannot continue to have 30 minutes of it on one side of the ball and then lean on the defense to have 60 minutes of really good play, because I guess arguably the third quarter wasn't necessarily great for the defense, but obviously at no point in this game were we ever saying the defense is playing horribly in comparison to what the offense was doing. And obviously there's the video out there that now that it was Jalen Hurts potentially playing concussed, because that hit that he took at what it was 9 minutes and 30 seconds left in the third quarter looked eerily similar to the one that took Carson Wentz out of that game against the Seattle Seahawks a few seasons ago, because he was concussed. It looked so similar. And from that point, obviously the first drive of the second half didn't look great. But from that point on, Jalen Hurts could not seem to throw a football to save his life. Like when I look back at the highlights and when I rewatched the game, Jalen Hurts was missing players. He was throwing long, he was throwing short, he was throwing high, he was throwing low, but he was not seemingly able to figure things out on the offensive side of the ball. So part of me contemplates if that happened, but to the same point, if you feel that you're an issue to the team, I feel like that's kind of your discretion to say, I don't know if I can go out there and continue to play at the level you need me to play at. But we know that that's not Jalen Hurts to sit there and say that. But that hit definitely did not look very good at that point in the game.
And I'm surprised.
But obviously, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm surprised that the red hat, the independent neurologist or whatever the heck they call them on the sideline, I'm surprised that they didn't pull him out the game. And of course they picked the flag up, which they did multiple times for the Bucs, and that was frustrating because it was a late hit because he definitely was sliding. But yeah, like his head smacked on the ground. He definitely was a different quarterback after that. So you have to think that there had to have been something up with that because to go, he was 15 of 16 in the first half, and the offense looked really good. And then to go 0 of 8 the rest of the way, it just didn't make any sense. So, he hasn't talked to the media yet. That will probably be tomorrow. So I'll be interested in hearing what he says. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to be interested in what Jalen says, because something happened. I don't know what happened, and I guess I don't really want to talk about it, but I'm sure that we will eventually talk about what AJ tweeted after the game. I think it's he's whatever. I brought it up, so we'll talk about it now.
Well, yeah, 1 minute. Let's touch on this coming. We're going to touch on the defensive side of it.
No,
but
I don't want to. We'll do the defense later. We're going to do the defense
But
next.
he says now this AJ thing. But hey, birds are 4-0. Carolina 8-6-4. So let's start with the AJ thing. AJ or LJ, what's your thoughts on the whole AJ thing?
Look, I wouldn't want a receiver that doesn't want the ball. So, like, the fact that he wants it and he wants to get involved, good. Like, I want him to be involved. And there's this report that Jeff McClain said that was pointed towards somebody within the organization. I personally think that it has to be a coach. But we know that him and Jalen's relationship isn't what it was when he first got here. And they've kind of spread apart. Usually when you're working with a best friend, a family member, it doesn't always work out too well. So maybe if they knew that things were going to go this way, they might not have clamored for this trade. Obviously, we got a Super Bowl out of it. AJ's one of the best receivers in team's history, so we're glad that, he's here. And I'm glad this year. I don't want him to go anywhere. And all the people that keep saying the Eagles are going to trade him, they're not taking an $80 million cap hit. So they can or dead cap. They're just stop talking about that. Maybe in 2 years, if they're still having issues, maybe. But they're not going to do that this year. He's going to be here. I don't foresee him doing the TO thing and like doing sit-ups in the driveway. I don't think AJ's like that. He just wants to contribute. And I don't blame the man for wanting to contribute. When you look at the routes that AJ was running, it was go routes, it was curls, what is the best route that AJ Brown runs? It's a slant. Why didn't we see any slants? Did you happen to get a chance to watch the Steelers-Vikings game?
I saw parts of it, yes.
Did you see the DK Metcalf 80-yard touchdown? That's
Absolutely.
What we should be doing with A.J. Brown. Why A.J.'s not doing that? And look, I get it. Defenses are trying to take him away. So, like, they're bracketing him. It's not just a one-on-one. When it is one-on-one, they need to get it to him. Jalen is sometimes throwing the ball late, like on one of the possessions, I think in the third quarter when they only took 12 seconds off the clock and they threw it to him 3 times. Jalen on a couple of those, he threw it late. But you need to figure out a way to get AJ the ball in space. They tried to screen, but nobody was over there to block. Like, that didn't make any sense. That was one of his catches. So I don't understand why they don't do slants with him. He's one of the tougher receivers to bring down in space. Give him a chance to catch and run. He's really good with yak yards. So that doesn't make any sense that they keep using him for like 3 routes. That's it. That's his route tree. Well, he can do more. It's up to the coaching staff. It's up to the offensive coordinator to call plays or implement that in for him and not let him go into motion every once in a while. Put him in the backfield. Do something different with him and stop having him do the same old stuff over and over and over again. Sorry, I had to go on a rant.
No, of course. I knew you'd have a rant to go on, so it's all good. And listen, I agree with you. To your point, I believe it's a coach, and I believe specifically it's Kevin Petula. And I feel that way because I feel like Kevin isn't using him to the capabilities that you just said. You exemplified it perfectly. He is not using him to the way that he should be. I think when I was rewatching the game, I think he was throwing on a slant on 2 out of his 9 targets. And I believe both of those targets came after Jalen Hurts took the hit that he took, that we assume he may have then come out concussed, and he definitely didn't seem himself. Like, the offense did not look remotely similar to the first half offense after that. So, I mean, it's weird to know to watch this, and like you said, Jeff McClain's report said it's a person or persons. And obviously we know that his relationship with Jalen Hurts is definitely not what it used to be, but I don't think that he would call it out to Jalen Hurts. I feel like he'd be calling it out to someone like a coach, like you said, who he's trying to wake up and trying to make him understand, you can use me better. You can use me different. You're not using me properly. And that totally feels like the quote said all you needed to say is He's trying to keep as quiet as he can be, but obviously he became quite a bit louder this week with that quote. But he's trying to be quieter and just do what he's told. And obviously, if you connect the dots in that way, doing what you're told based on who's telling you what to do would be Kevin Petula, which is your offensive coordinator, because he's telling you what to do. He's calling the plays. He's the lead guy there.
As Carolina says, KP is going to run every first down, which it seems like the line is banged up. They are. Cam and Landon have not played up to their capacity, and that's very true. Obviously, Landon had the meniscus injury like a week before the season started. Cam had that back injury last year, probably still feeling the effects of that. Steen's not as good as Becton. Lane Johnson has come out the last 2 games. Jordan Mailata has really been the healthy mainstay of the offensive line. We always talk about the Eagles' offensive line is the best offensive line in football. Well, they're not playing like it right now. And Jordan Mailata says it week after week after week that they're always 1 block away. Well, I don't want to hear 1 block away. Make that block if that's the truth. But they need to play better. The interior of the offensive line has not been good, and they have to figure it out, especially if Petula is going to keep running it on first down. And they're still predictable by the formations. They're still predictable by the certain downs. They're going to have that on 3rd and long. They're going to have the give up draw, which is annoying as hell. I wish they would stop it. Give your receivers a chance to make a play. On first down, if they line up under center, they're going to hand it off to Saquon, and he's going to run right into the middle of the line. And when you're going up against Vita Vea, and a good defensive front like the Tampa Bay Bucks, why don't you run to the outside? It doesn't make any sense. And then one thing that they had a lot of success with last year was like running traps and pulling the linemen. I think we saw it once on Sunday, and that was during A.J. Dillon's 8 or 9 yard run. And then we didn't see it again. Why aren't we seeing the linemen pull? You're not using them to their capability. Again, how A.J. Brown's not being used to his capability with certain routes. The offensive line isn't being used to their capability by not allowing them to get out in the space. Pull. Make the defense have to read their keys. And if they're going to read something, maybe you can get them out of place because they misread it. Like, it doesn't take rocket science here. Kellen Moore could do it. Shane Steichen did it. Kevin Petula has been here for 5 freaking years. He should have learned. I swear to God, if he kept the Brian Johnson playbook and not the Kellen Moore playbook, I'm going to flip. Because that's what it feels like is happening right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few points I want to hit on in there.
Sorry.
I completely agree on the interior offensive line isn't looking. I mean, to be honest, Cam Jurgens is looking way better than Landon Dickerson. When I rewatched the game, watching after the play with Landon Dickerson, he is not right. He pushed himself to get back for that week 1 game, but I feel like he should have taken another couple weeks because I watch him now. He's limping. He's slow. His mobility is not the same. Just what he has brought to the game, his energy does not feel like it's there. And I feel like if he had have taken those extra couple of weeks to get right, we could have figured it out without him. And it's really frustrating because rewatching games and rewatching highlights and like when they slow things down and show highlights of like Saquon Barkley running away or, a screen pass or some sort of close pass to a wide receiver where you can still see Landon Dickerson in the frame, he doesn't look right. You can tell that he's not right. Cam Jurgens definitely not doing the best. And obviously I feel like Cam Jurgens' injury is more of a long-term thing. Back injuries, we tend to see within the NFL, back injuries tend to linger. It just feels like Landon Dickerson could have done right and could have done better by the team. The team might have been able to do better by him, by letting him get to 100%, by giving him an extra couple of weeks. Did he need the pup? No. Did he need to be pushed into week 1? No. I feel like there could have been a balance between those found, and it just wasn't found. On the flip side of that, like you said, the Kevin Petula playbook, we talked about this on the last episode or 2 episodes ago where we were talking about the Matt Pryor, when Matt Pryor was put in and Jeff Stoutland has a say. Why does Jeff Stoutland not have a say in what's going on with Kevin Petula's offense? Because what I'm trying to understand here is we say that Jeff Stoutland has a say in who he puts along the offensive line. If he sees something isn't working right in the offense based on the offensive line, based on what Jordan Mailata is saying, why are we not seeing more of something said behind the scenes to change things throughout the game in the entirety of the game?
Well, maybe he is, and Kevin Petula is just not listening, or which would be done by him. You would want to use the best offensive line coach in football, use his experience, use what he's noticing, use what the offensive line is noticing. When you come off the field, the coaches ask, all right, what are you seeing? What are they doing? What are you noticing? Do you notice a tell? And if they are, you should be able to go to the offensive coordinator, and he should listen to you. Going back to A.J. Brown real quick, and we talked about how that it could have been persons, and we said Kevin Patullo. Do you think maybe one of the people could also be Aaron Moorhead, the wide receivers coach? Like we haven't really seen or heard from him, and he seems to be doing a great job. But is there something that he's doing that AJ doesn't agree with, and maybe he tried to go to Aaron Moorhead and explain something or try to change something up, and he just didn't listen? It's somebody, if it's because that cryptic tweet he put out is like, if they're not going to listen, then just do your own thing, pretty much, or not do your own thing, but all right, I'm just gonna keep quiet. So it's got to be somebody with power. And obviously, I don't think Nick Sirianni is do that. Obviously, we saw him last year during the bye week. Offensive line went in and said, look, we should do this. He changed things up. They went to the Super Bowl and won. So I don't think it's Nick Sirianni, but Kevin Patullo might be on his high horse, say, like, I'm the offensive coordinator. This is my offense. I'm going to call what I want to call, and there's nothing else. Aaron Moorhead, maybe. So maybe Jalen, but Jalen threw him the ball. Now, there were a couple bad passes, but threw him the ball 9 times. He got targets. And also, like, if A.J. Brown is probably looking at stats, and A.J. Brown has 14 catches on the year. Do you know how many Puka Nacua had last week alone? 13. Puka Nacua has 503 yards receiving in 4 games. He's on pace for 2,000 yards receiving. Probably won't get there, but still. AJ's on pace for like 400 yards receiving. Should, obviously, hopefully that'll change. But like something. And is he speaking up not just for himself, but for Devontae Smith? Devontae Smith's not one that's going to come out and say something in public, because he's not that type. He went to Alabama, played under Coach Saban. All the talent that Alabama had under Saban, like, he's used to that. He won the Heisman after Waddle got hurt and whatnot, but he's used to, like, look, I'm going to be the team guy. AJ has been the team guy up to this point. He's frustrated. I don't blame him for being frustrated, but he's just seeing what other guys in the league are doing. And, somebody coming into the year, I forget which publication, had him as the number 1 receiver in football. And obviously he's not being used as the number 1 receiver in football. So he's just seeing all the talent around the league, get all these stats, and he just wants to contribute. That's all he wants to do. And he's not asking to have the ball thrown to him every play. He just wants to, when you go out there, even if you're winning, and winning should be the end-all be-all, but sometimes there are guys that just want to feel like that they've helped. Look at his post after the Super Bowl. He wasn't satisfied. He wanted more. He wanted to feel like his satisfaction is feeling like he's dominating, and he's not doing that right now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I feel like what his posts and what he's saying are being taken to the extreme, when what he's really trying to say isn't something that's supposed to be to the extreme, but more, I want to be involved. I want to help out. I want to be that guy. Like, we won 31-25. Obviously, probably should have been more like 31-23, obviously. But in theory, he's basically saying in these situations, the game shouldn't be this close because I could have been of more help. I could have made it that additional score. I could have made it those situations where this game is completely out of reach. And it's 100% true that A.J. Brown can definitely put these games out of reach. We've seen him be that player. We've seen him be that guy. I don't necessarily believe that what he says is necessarily meant to be taken the way the media takes it. Obviously, the media is going to take it. They're going to absolutely run with it like it's nobody's business, because the media, the national media, and Philly's own media just hates the Eagles. There's just a reason to always find a reason to talk about the Eagles, because they know that that's what's going to get people going. That's what's going to get them clicks. It's not good content, but it's what's going to get them clicks. It's what's going to get them views. And I don't think that is the intent of what A.J. Brown is trying to say. I just think that A.J. Brown wants to be more involved. He thinks that this offense can be more complete and bigger than what we're seeing from them. And I could not agree more with AJ Brown on that statement and on that sentiment. This offense can be better. We see that, I said it's Jalen Hurts, that Jalen Hurts was the issue last week. Well, I said last week on our preview episode that Jalen Hurts is the issue when it comes to the blitz. They definitely put some things in place. So Jalen Hurts had those safety valves. He had quick passes. Jalen Hurts looked quite a bit different against Tampa Bay than he looked in prior weeks, but the offense continued to look quite stagnant at times, which was very frustrating. So while they find a way to change things and make things better in one way, it feels like they continue to take away from other aspects of their offense that could make them look a lot better, because this game should never have been this close. Me and you probably both completely agree with this, LJ. This game should have continued to get further and further out of hand as the second half started. Maybe that hit on Jalen Hurts had a major effect on him. Maybe he was concussed. Maybe that caused further issues as the game went on. But we saw a completely different offense in the healthy or not, we saw such a different offense from the first half to the second half, and whether that was them protecting Jalen Hurts because they knew something wasn't right and they just wanted to protect the lead or not, I'm not 100% sure. But, I mean, you can definitely tell there's some things. This is a complete offense that we know can put so much on the board. They can put 40 points. They can put 400, 500 yards, but they're just not connecting on that level yet. And I feel like there's a way to get there. And you kind of alluded to it on the Kevin Petula point. Is he kind of sitting on a high horse right now and not listening to people when he should be listening to people? Because I don't think this is a Nick Sirianni problem. I really don't think this is. It is a problem. It is a Nick Sirianni problem in the way that he needs to get his team in line. And if Kevin Petula's on a high horse, he has to take him off of that high horse right now, because he needs to say, Kevin, enough of this. You saw what we've been able to do with Shane Steichen, with Kellen Moore. We've seen what happens with the Brian Johnson offense. Get off your high horse, listen to people, and let's work together as a team, because I think that there's a lot more to be discovered out of this offense. And we kind of saw it in two different halves of this game and in two halves of this season. But through 8 halves, all we've seen is 2 halves.
I had to think about that for a second. 8 halves, 2 halves. Yeah, it was the inverse of the Rams game, pretty much, because
exactly.
I don't know why we can't be consistent. And like you said, in the first half, Jalen, like, the offense was really, they knew what was going to happen. They knew that Todd Bowles was going to blitz. They had answers to the blitz. And then Todd Bowles made an adjustment at halftime, and he did fake blitzes. He would bring a bunch of people out and drop them out, and he didn't blitz as much. Barely any in the second half. And Eagles had 0 ways to challenge that. And that was not a good look for them. So they got fortunate, that they were able, the defense, while giving up 2 70-yard touchdowns, was able to save their bacon with two turnovers in the third, or 2 turnovers in the second half. The Bucky Irving fumble, and then the Jahad Campbell interception. I want to talk about the defense. Quinyon Mitchell.
1 second. Before we move there, we should address this one by scare line. This is why we need Goddard on the field for Jalen. I hope Hurts don't start forcing the ball. Goddard scares me every time he gets hit. I completely agree on the Goddard front. He scares me every time he gets hit. But you see how important he is. As easy as those 2 touchdowns were for him, you see how vital Goddard can make those plays. If you give Grant Calcaterra or you give Jansen or Kylan Granson those plays, I don't think they make it to the same degree of Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert makes those plays because he's Dallas Goedert. He is he is one of the top tight ends when he is 100% healthy, but obviously he's never 100% healthy, and you know that you're going to miss time with him. But Goedert on the field makes Jalen Hurts look so different than when he is not on the field, and we could definitely tell that difference in week 3.
Yeah, and one more final point for the offense. There was some creativity. The 1 touchdown pass where it looked like Jalen was going to sneak it in, but he tossed it out, underhand tossed it to Goddard, got in for a touchdown. On the Andy Reid special, the up the middle toss to Goddard, touchdown. And then on the tush push, they had a variation of that because we knew Tampa is really good at stopping the tush push with Vita Vea. And what do? They handed it off for a sweep to Saquon for a touchdown. So that was good to see. Now we just need to see it consistently. don't want to just see it a one-off. I just want to see them be consistent offensively. Over to the defensive side of the ball. Quinyon Mitchell had himself a game. Now, is he a little handsy? Yes. They didn't call it though, so that's fine. But I don't know. I don't understand Tampa's game plan for testing Quinyon and even Coop when Keely Ringo's on the other side. They tested Q a lot, and he answered the challenge. He gave up, I think, 2 catches all day, and that's covering both Emeka Ibuka and Chris Godwin. Q is such a good, that's why him being the nickel, that's why Vic Fangio wants him to be the nickelback, because he'll be where all the action's at. If he's on the outside, the receiver can just run a fly and you're not in near the play half the time. By being in the slot, you can read if it's going to be a run and go in and make a tackle, or you can blitz. He can do a number of things. I love Cooper DeJean, just the athlete that he is. He is really, really good. Keely Ringo played okay. He missed a lot of tackles. Like, that's my biggest thing with him, is he's soft when it comes to that aspect of the game. He plays off a lot. So quarterback, like Baker, is smart. Baker got the ball out to a receiver or a running back. If Keely was in the area, pretty much ran right by Keely Ringo. That can't happen. So I'll be intrigued to see what happens when Adoree Jackson gets healthy. Because Fangio said today that Keely does have a chance to potentially become CB2, but I don't know. Like, he's got to tackle better. Also, going back to Cooper DeJean, he looked good when he got those few snaps out at outside corner in base defense. So, like, he is such a like we talk about it all the time. He's so versatile. So he played Q, Coop, Bond, Makuba, and Reed. I think those 5 played 100% of the snaps in that weather. That's crazy. Like, Zach Bond might be the best linebacker in football. And I never thought we would say that about an Eagles linebacker. When you have Zach Bond, who's the best, Jahad Campbell's the best, might be the best rookie defensive player in football right now. He is really good. Yeah, he got beat by Bucky Irvin on a play, but had an interception. Really good at, blitzing when asked. It's going to be tough. I know Nakobe Dean they can open up his window, I think, this week. I don't know if they're going to open it this week or next week, but it's going to be tough for him to get back on the field unless they move Jahad Campbell to edge. But I don't know if you want to do that. The way he's playing linebacker right now, I don't know if you want to put him as an edge player. I want him to be able to affect all aspects of the field. And you can do that at linebacker. Makuba had a really bad play on Mbuka's long touchdown. I don't know what he was doing. Like, all he had to do was tip the ball, man, and it got through both his hands. But again, he's the starter now. Sidney Brown's not the starter. And he should have never been the starter. So hopefully Makuba doesn't hit like that rookie wall, and he can continue his play. Jalen Carter.
I'll hop in. Before we move to any other position, I'll hop in on this. Yeah, the Makuba play definitely felt like a miscommunication, because you see, if you look at the replay of that, Cooper DeJean clearly pushes Buka off. So it clearly felt like it should have been Makuba's assignment there to stay with Ibuka and stay with that play, but he didn't. And then, credit to Baker Mayfield, because that was an incredible throw. Like you said, it got through 2 hands. Ibuka's weren't placed great, but they were still, like, to get through those 4 sets of hands is pretty impressive in itself. The Jihad Campbell play, you can only expect a linebacker to go downfield with the running back for so long. So to me, like, that felt like, I feel like the pass was completed at about the 15-yard-ish mark, and I feel like that's too far for a linebacker to carry, but he was close. If that pass was thrown a second earlier, I think that's Jihad Campbell's ball. So I feel like it allowed a linebacker to carry on a bit too long, where it probably should have been a safety who took that over. But Campbell was following, and Campbell, like, for his sake, like, the athleticism was incredible. Watching him go and then watching him dive and try to make that play, it was pretty impressive. That just going back to the Makuba play too. both of those plays were extremely impressive. They were good throws by Mayfield. He found the way to, get right where he needed to be, put the ball where it needed to be. But in that point, I feel like it was a miscommunication on the Makuba ball, and then on the Campbell ball, you can't let a linebacker go that far downfield. Like at some point, it's going to be that the linebacker is going to lose, no matter how athletic you are. The guys on the other side of the ball, wide receivers, the majority of tight ends, running backs are going to be quite a bit more athletic than your linebackers. So unfortunately, Campbell got caught in a bad spot. But like you said, those guys have so much promise. They have so much promise in this league. Campbell, like you said, how do you find a way to put Nakobe Dean back on that football field? Yes, could you move Campbell to the edge? Yes, has Campbell played about 10 or more snaps in every single game along the defensive line? Yes, but are you really going to put him there? Do you think that that's the right use of Jihad Campbell? Well, definitely not. In my opinion, it's not the right use of him. I feel like you have to continue to use it.
I'll let you continue, but it's not the best use. But when you think about Nolan Smith's out, Agbo, Ankaraka's now out, they have zero faith in Aziz Ojulari, which is apparently a shock. But he'll have to play this week because they don't have any other ends. Jalix Hunt hasn't done much of anything. Zadarius Smith is your best pass rusher right now, and he just got here. It may come to a point where they just have no choice but to be like, all right, we need you to play edge. Hopefully it doesn't get there, but after it felt like they got zero pressure for a majority of the game on Baker. He was just chilling in the backfield.
But the thing was, like, at one point in the broadcast, I think it was about halfway through the second quarter or the majority of the way through the second quarter, he had been pressured on nearly 60% of his snaps. So, and that was one of the things that I found. This Eagles defensive line continues to find a way to make it uncomfortable for a quarterback, but they can't seem to make an actual play on the quarterback while making him uncomfortable, which is what's frustrating.
Those pressures are coming from the defensive tackles. Nothing is coming from the edge.
Exactly, 100%. For sure.
Like Jalen Carter, and I love the comment he made after the game. He's like, or it was either after the game or it was, I think it was after. He said, I would rather have no stats and get the win than get 6 sacks and get a loss. Like, he is affecting others around him. Like, Mario Jomo had a great sack, but that was because Jalen Carter took a double team and Jomo blew up his guy. So, like, if, Jalen Carter can do that for the other defensive tackles, hopefully he can do that for the edges.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it alone, like, they had 10 pressures come from Moro Jomo and Jalen Carter alone. 10 out of 28 pressures. So over a third of your pressures came from just 2 of your defensive linemen. And that, I agree with you, that is extremely frustrating. Our edges are unable to do anything despite Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis didn't have as great of a game this week, but obviously he had great games the past 3 weeks. But Jordan Davis, Mauro Jomo, and Jalen Carter are doing everything for your defense. And you guys are, like, broadcasts are seeing it and they're saying that you're creating pressure, but it's not turning into anything. And it needs to turn into a stat on our side of the ball, because as much as it's a pressure, especially a guy like Baker Mayfield, he can make plays happen with even when he's under pressure. And we saw multiple times where he may have been under pressure 50% of the game, but he made plays on 50% of that 50%. So to me, I mean, at some point, you have to find a way to make something happen with your edge rushers. And I don't know how it's going to be. Like you said, hopefully Azeez Ojulari finally gets his opportunity, but it feels like he has to get his opportunity unless they're going to go out there and get a free agent edge rusher, which is an absolute insult. I think I posted to our X feed earlier this week that this is feeling so much like the Devin White situation all over again. It's like, do you want to use him or not? If you don't want to use him, get rid of him, free up that 53-man roster spot, find somebody you want to use, because you're continuously not using this guy and making him a healthy scratch when it feels like he could be somebody who could really come to the toll when called upon, and it's clear that somebody needs to step up on that line. Jalen Hunt was not expected to be a main guy. Obviously, he was expected to be a starter, but to what extent was he going to be a starter? Was he just going to be by namesake a starter and just play 50% of snaps, which is what's happening right now this season? Or was he going to be a starter like we expected Nolan Smith to be? It's kind of a complex situation at the edge rusher position, but obviously Zadarius Smith, Jalen Hunt, and Uche had a pretty good game, but we need to see a lot more from these edge rushers because the interior defensive line is doing pretty much everything for this defense beyond the linebackers and Q and Coop.
On Baker Mayfield's interception, Jordan Davis, because Baker Mayfield was dancing around and it looked like he wanted to run, but Davis was pretty much in his way, forcing him to back up and roll more to the right. He threw a bad pass that got tipped actually by Blankenship and then picked off by Campbell. So, yeah, the tackles are doing such really, really good job. As Carolina says, are they blitzing Bowen because of edge rushers not getting pressure? I do think that has a little bit to do with it. It's both Bowen and Campbell, which I say time and time again. I feel like I say this every week. Them being interchangeable is really good because you don't know which one's going to come. And they both can cover. They can both blitz. They can both get after the quarterback. They both can tackle really well. So Vic Fangio has two chess pieces. He can do whatever with that he wants to do. So I do think that has an effect on it because, like we've mentioned, that they're just not getting much. How many sacks do our edge rushers have? Do they even have? Probably not a combined 5. I doubt it. They might only have a combined 2, which is ridiculous. So they definitely have to figure that position out. Azeez Ojulari, like I mentioned, he's going to have no choice but to play this week. Nolan's out for a couple more weeks. Agbo Okoronkwo's going to be out for the year. At least it's not going to be 150 degrees on Sunday. Hopefully, in Philly. So, they should, it's a lot easier to play in 70 degree weather, where it's not as humid. And hopefully that will allow you to get pressure, on Bo Nix this weekend, which we're going to talk about a lot more on Friday as we get you set for the Eagles and Broncos.
Just to allude to your stat question, the Philadelphia Eagles have a total of 5 sacks this season, and a half sack is the edge rusher, and it was a Zadarius Smith half sack.
That was his first
Nolan Smith
game.
Obviously, exactly, and Nolan Smith obviously he left last week and whatever, but to that point, it feels like they're almost getting those pressures because of the interior of the defensive line, and because the interior defensive line is creating so much pressure, the fact that they're not able to turn that into some sort of, obviously we're not completely stat driven, but obviously the fact that the interior defensive line is doing all that and they're not able to turn that into some sort of stat on the other side is extremely frustrating. And I mean, now down Nolan Smith until after the bye week, so likely won't see him till week 10. Like you were saying, what are we going to see from these edge rushers? Because Jalen Hunt, what is he going to be able to do? Zadarius Smith, he's got the only portion of a sack that we have. It is frustrating, but I mean, I don't know if going out there for Howie and continuing to shop for edge rushers is going to necessarily be the answer, because no one's going to deal an edge rusher who's necessarily going to be an impact player for you this year. I know there's a lot of talk about Jalen Phillips and could you get Jalen Phillips, but now that Miami's on the right side of a win, despite the Tyreek Hill injury, would they actually consider that? It almost feels like now that they have a win, they're going to give themselves a few more weeks to see what they got. It just doesn't feel like continuing to hunt there is going to be the answer. They got to figure something out at the edge position itself and finding a way to turn pressure into sacks and turn pressure into actual stats for them versus just the interior defensive line creating pressure and the edge rushers just getting close to the quarterback. Although I would like to point out, it would be nice to see the game that Vic Fangio called against a guy like Bo Nix or against some of these other quarterbacks, because you could tell that this game was specifically framed towards making Baker Mayfield uncomfortable. But there's a lot of other quarterbacks. There's the majority of quarterbacks that you could call this type of game against, and I think you're getting multiple sack games. You're getting lots of sacks. You're creating massive amounts of pressure, and you're creating a lot of turnovers because of it. Yeah, I just hope that this wasn't strictly because it was Baker Mayfield, you wanted to keep him in the pocket, you wanted to make him uncomfortable, but you could tell Baker Mayfield does very well in uncomfortable situations. It would be really nice to see that type of game called against the Bo Nix, because I think it can turn to the benefit majorly for this Eagles defense.
Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. And this one is specifically for new customers who can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus over $200 off of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PINPULL. That's code PINPULL to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus over $200 off of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois. Void in Ontario. Bonus bet expires 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samara Origins by The Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samara Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samara. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samara Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
As a sports fan, I have to confess. Sometimes the game gets kind of boring. That's when I unfold my Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 and use multi-window viewing on its large screen. Boring game? I'm checking out my fantasy baseball league at the same time. Score still 1-0? I'm replying to emails in the other window, scoring points with the boss. Semifinals finally getting exciting? I'm buying tickets to the finals and booking my flights. Can your phone do that?
The new Galaxy Z Fold 7. Get yours at Samsung.com.
Deborah had to have surgery.
I had hip surgery in November of 2024.
Her United Healthcare nurse, Crystal, checked on her.
We do a routine call after surgery, and I could tell that she was struggling.
Deborah needed help.
My infection markers were through the roof.
And Crystal knew what to do.
I called the hospital and said she's coming in.
And got Deborah the help she needed.
Crystal and United Healthcare saved my life.
Hear more stories like Deborah's at UHC.com. Benefits, features, and/or devices vary by plan area. Limitation and exclusions apply.
Yeah, hopefully. And then I looked. The trade deadline is November 4th, which is actually the Tuesday. I think Tuesday, right after the Eagles bye week. So that could be a time. I mean, there will obviously be teams that are out of it and maybe that are looking to sell, and the Eagles do have the assets draft wise to make a trade. So we'll see if Howie decides to do that. If the ends are still not able to get pressure on the quarterback, or at least not be able to get sacks. Because you mentioned they are getting pressure, just not able to finish it off. I still think majority of that's coming from the interior defensive line. Going back to Quinyon Mitchell, I mean, I still, and I mentioned it, I still can't believe they tested him as much as they tested him. And obviously Mike Evans wasn't playing, but Ibuka's good. Godwin, first game back, he's still good. But the one thing I loved about Q, he has that dog in him. He is going to go right at you. Baker likes to talk. Baker talked to him. He talked right back. Like, he wasn't going to let anybody show him up. And I think that if Q can keep that up, he he already might be a top 10 corner in the NFL. And if he keeps this up, he could shoot himself up into the top 5 by the end of the year.
100%. I just wanted to shout out to Carolina. All right, guys, got to go to work. I just subscribed and hit the like. Go Birds. Go Birds. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. We appreciate you so much for joining us. I agree. On the Q front, like, he's definitely a top 10. Like, you heard Sauce Gardner's comment last night about, like, it feels like they're calling penalties and making them lose. They're not just calling penalties to make a team lose. That just doesn't make sense. The Jets haven't been good in quite a while. So, like, if they were calling to try and play against the team, don't you think they'd be trying to call and play against the team like maybe the Eagles, or maybe against a team that they didn't want to win, and the tush push is so front of mind right now? Like, Q is definitely a top cornerback. Coop is definitely a top cornerback. Keeping him in the nickel is so vital to this team. He made some big plays. You can tell he makes massive plays for that team based on being in the nickel. As good as, it was to see him go outside on a couple of occasions this week, it just didn't feel right to not see him in the nickel and to know that he could be there to make that type of play on a running back, on a tight end, on a wide receiver. He can make that play against anybody. We said it on the preview episode. I think we said it last week. I think we've said it almost every week. Howie Roseman absolutely hammered a home run on Kenyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. The fact that Kenyon Mitchell, okay, he fell. It is what it is. He came from a small school. Maybe that's the reason that he fell. But Cooper DeJean, to continue to fall to the point that the Philadelphia Eagles were able to take him, absolutely home run picks. The day will come where we have to pay them. We deal with it then. We're a couple years away from having to worry about that circumstance. But for now, we get to enjoy the fact that these two are like, Coop is an elite nickel corner and Q is an elite outside linebacker. And we've seen back-to-back weeks now, Q can be tasked with following someone. If you can trust the CB2, then you can tag Q with following whoever you want and knowing that Q will probably make the play that you need to make when you need to call upon him. I will say, they didn't test Keely Ringo enough for me to be fully comfortable with the CB2 debate. But to the same point, if the issue with Keely Ringo is his tackles, I can live with that because I can live with a few missed tackles but still making the play versus some of what I've seen from Adoree Jackson where you're giving up 80 to 100 yards a game and a touchdown or 2 touchdowns a game. It's just I'd like to see more from Ringo. So I kind of stand with Vic Fangio's point. I want to see more from Ringo than I want to see more from Adoree Jackson.
Yeah, and they didn't test him, like we mentioned, they didn't test him enough for us to get that answer. I wanted to say something. Oh, yeah. Talking about the Eagles rebuilt this defense pretty much through the draft in like 4 years. Remember, the Eagles were one of the older teams in the league. Now they're the youngest defense in the league. They're the second or third youngest team in the league. We talked about Campbell and Makuba, starters. Quinyon Coop, Jalen Hunt, starters. Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, starter. That's 7. Jordan Davis, starter. That's 8. Reed Blankenship, undrafted free agent, starter. That's 9. We are talking about 9 of the 11 starters. So that would be Zach Bourne was a free agent and Adoree Jackson. If we're gonna say Adoree Jackson is the CB2 right now. So that's Zach Bourne and Adoree Jackson agents. 9 guys you got from drafting or UDFA in the last 4 years. Just think about that. Did Howie miss on some picks in trade? Yes, he did. He missed on some. But talk about like the hit rate he has on just that on the defensive side of the ball, and to be able to get younger, quicker, faster, like more physical just by drafting guys, and finally going, look, we're going to stick pretty much with the SEC. We're going to do Georgia and Alabama. And then if we have to, go Toledo and Iowa here and there, we'll do that. But, man, Howie deserves a lot of credit for how he rebuilt the defense. And that's why, with them being as physically talented, and they were the number 1 defense in football last year. I don't know where they ranked this year. They might be in top 12-ish. I'm not 100% sure. But still, they are playing very well. They don't, and last week gave up a couple of big scores, but they gave up 17 points in the second half last week. In the first 3 games, I think they gave up 7 combined. They don't give up points, in the second half. And that's Vic Fangio deserves a lot of credit for the adjustments that he makes after he sees what the offense is typically looking to do against them.
Heading into this game, they ranked 15th in points for and 22nd in yards, but part of me feels like there's a built-in need for a team to come back, similar to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game and stuff. So it'd be interesting to see in a neutral situation where they rank, but I feel like they rank much better.
They were up big last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
They held them. They did a good job. Yeah, so
for sure.
Being 4-0 after the teams that we faced after these 4, if you look at the teams that the Eagles have beaten are 7-2 against everybody but the Eagles. 7-2 against everybody but the Eagles. The Bucs have 1 loss to the Eagles. The Rams have 1 loss to the Eagles. And the Chiefs have 2 losses, 1's to the Eagles, and Dallas has 2 losses, 1's to the Eagles. Should have 3, but Green Bay's stupid. So, yeah, the Eagles are showing why. Now, I don't want to get that 2023 feeling all over again, but they have room for improvement, and let's see if they make those improvements. Let's see if they can get A.J. Brown involved, Devontae Smith involved. You have a $55 million quarterback, a $33 million receiver, a $25 million receiver. Use them. I know we have a running back too. Something's not working in the running game, so stop being so predictable with it. Let's do some play action. If you're going to line up under center, don't always run it up the middle. Not on 3rd and 15, don't always do the give up screen. Change things up to get the defense thinking.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, obviously it goes without saying your statement, you spend so much on this offense, you need to make some things happen with this offense that you spend money on. You did so well building a defense is so cheap, so affordable, so easy to lean into. You need to do something with this offense. Shout out to the special teams, because for the second week in a row, the 3rd unit falls to the wayside. But obviously Cameron Latu, who was just signed this past week to the active roster, ended up blocking that, and Sidney Brown did the only thing that he's done all year for us by returning the touchdown. But Cameron Latu made a massive play. It clearly goes to show. I kind of was a Cameron Latu fan. I was a big Cameron Latu fan in the offseason and thinking he could be more on the offensive side of the ball. But it appears to be that, at least for this time, he's going to be a very crucial part to the special teams. And for 2 weeks in a row, the special teams have been a massive game changer for this Eagles offense. So shout out to them. We didn't get around to talking to them, but also today they, beyond the Odogoro, Yes. Okay. You practice more than I. Charlie Hewlett, the long snapper, has been placed on the IR as well. So they announced the signing of Cal Adomaitis, who will be stepping in as the long snapper. And with that, they also announced the release of Lance Dixon from the practice squad linebacker. So that opens up a practice squad spot that we'll see what they will do with it.
1 spot open on the active roster, 1 spot open on the practice squad. So interesting to see. And that Charlie Hewlett injury, hopefully, the special team, that operation from Hewlett to man to kick for Elliott, or hold to Elliott to kick, and then Hewlett to man, that's been really good. So hopefully that doesn't get this. And you're right, man.
Even in general, that special teams unit has been impressive. I think it was the field goal at the end of the half, the massive field goal that was extremely impressive by the Bucs, was almost blocked as well. So it's impressive how close they are getting to continuously blocking and making an impact on the special team side of the ball. Shout out to Michael Clay. He is an elite young coaching talent. Obviously, he's never going to see the light of day. Well, I don't want to say never going to see the light of day, because John Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator. So you can never say they're never going to see the light of day as a head coach. But Michael Clay, you could see when Cam Latu blocked that, he is so energetic. You can tell he's so into this. He's so full of energy for that 3rd unit. And that 3rd unit this year has become so vitally important in so many different aspects for so many different teams. So it is definitely a huge shout out to Michael Clay, because that special teams unit has been huge for the Eagles and in these last 2 weeks for sure.
3 possessions in a row where they blocked the kick or field goal or a punt. 2 possessions in a row where they returned it for a touchdown. So they definitely deserve a lot of credit. Michael Clay too, because there was a lot of talk about him after his first year. And they looked better on returning kicks too. I think they only bobbled one. But having Shipley back there, and Bigsby didn't look that bad. He wasn't great, but he didn't look that bad. He looked a lot better than he did last week. Well, we're 4-0. That's all that matters. And now we get set for another home game this Sunday at 1 o'clock with Nance and Romo on the call against the
We
Broncos.
should admit we were both wrong on our prediction last week, happily.
Happily wrong, yes. And maybe I'll do the same thing this week. Who knows? The Broncos are 3-1 coming off of a win over the lowly Cincinnati Bengals. Should be a good game. The Broncos have one of the best defenses in the league. We talked about A.J. Brown. He's going to go one-on-one with Pat Surtain, who might be the best cornerback in the league. So this defense is really good. They're really fast. They're very physical. So they're going to present a challenge for the Eagles offense. And Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, J.K. Dobbins, they got some weapons on that offensive side of the ball. Sean Payton, as the play caller, we know how creative he can get. So that should be a good matchup between Payton and Vic Fangio. So we'll be back Friday to get you set for the Eagles and Broncos from South Philly on Sunday at 1 o'clock. As always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. Follow me on Twitter at LJHerrell54. And follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And wherever you get your podcast at Eagles Pinpool Network, like, subscribe, and rate the network and the individual shows. For Connor, I'm LJ. Thank you all for tuning in to the Kelly Green Hour.